All right, so the formula for the surface area of a cone is pi RL plus the area of the base. Well, what do we always know the area of the base is going to be? It's always going to be a circle. So what is the formula for the area of a circle? That is going to be pi times my radius squared. So you always get to fill that in. That is always going to be pi r squared. So the difference is that in a pyramid, we have bases that change. In a cone, it's always going to be a circle. So it's going to be pi r squared plus pi RL. If you want to go ahead and simplify that, we know that the area of formula, we have to know it, is pi RL, but you have to be able to know what to fill in for the base. It's going to be pi r squared every time, okay? So we need two things. That means that we need two things. We need our radius, which is going to be this amount, but then we also need our slanted height. So what is your slanted height? Your slanted height is going to be the height of those walls, okay? So this is more like circumference, and we want to multiply it by your height. Well, what is our slanted height going to be? It's going to be L. So when we slant that in, it's going to be this piece right here. So we still need our height of the walls, which are slanted in, okay? So L is still going to be our slant height. It's the same as before. So when I go to do this, this is going to be, the surface area is going to be equal to, we have pi. What is my radius going to be? It is 5. So pi times 5 times my slanted height, which we do have. Slanted height is 13 there. Plus pi r squared. So that's going to be pi times 5 squared. Okay? When you type this in, you're going to type in 5 times 13. You get 65 pi for the walls. You're going to type in 5 squared, which is 25 pi. It says to leave them in terms of pi, meaning there's going to be a pi in our answer. So when you do 65 plus 25, you get a total of 90 pi. That's going to be meters squared. If you wanted to round that to the nearest tenth, you'll just type in 90 times pi. So this is about 282.7, okay, meters squared of space. So there's in terms of pi, and then there's rounded. Now this next one's a little bit harder because we do have our radius. Our radius is 12, but this right here is talking about my internal height. So I'm going to move the 16 to over here just to help me out. It's just so I know it's pointing right now, but I'm scribble that out. We want to find our slanted height. So when I go to plug this in, I'm going to have to use some Pythagorean theorem. I'm going to do pi RL plus pi r squared. Okay, so what is my radius? My radius is going to be 12, but we need to find our slant height. So what is my slant height going to be? We're going to use some Pythagorean theorem. That's going to be 16 squared plus 12 squared equals L squared. You're just going to type that straight up into your calculator. That is going to be the square root of 400. Well, what is the square root of 400? It is perfect. That is going to be 20. So that's going to be times 20 for my slant height. So we've got our radius and we've got our slant height. Plus pi r squared. So plus pi times 12 squared. Okay, so what is 12 times 20? That gives me 30. No, that's not. 12 times 20 gives me 240 pi for my walls. And then that's going to be 144 pi for my base. Okay, so I'm going to do 240 plus 144. That gives me exactly 384 pi. That's going to be centimeters squared, which rounds to, let's see, times the pi symbol is going to give me, 1,206.4-ish, if I rounded it, centimeters squared. Okay, so there's the, in terms of pi answer, there's the rounded answer. Okay, we're going to do two more and then we'll come to our word problems. Again, I've got the slant height that I need here, so thankfully that's already there. No Pythagorean theorem required on this one, but I do need to find my radius. So right now I have a diameter, so what does that mean about the radius? My radius is going to be 10 miles, okay? So when I do surface area equals pi RL plus pi r squared, I already have everything I need. That is going to be pi times 10 times the slant height of 22.4 plus pi times 10 squared, pi symbol. Okay, so that's going to be 10 times 22.4. If you can't tell, that is a decimal point right there. That is going to be 224 pi. So there's 224 pi plus 100 pi. So what happens when you add those together? We get 324 pi. That is miles squared since we're working with surface area. What does that round to if I actually multiply 3 by pi? That is going to give me about 703.7 miles squared of surface area on this shape. Okay. This next one, unfortunately, I do have my radius, but I don't have my slant height. So that is talking about the internal height that that's pointing to. Y'all know I like to scribble it out and put it where it actually goes. There's 16. So I need to have an L for my slant height. So I'm going to have to use some Pythagorean theorem there. But we always start with our formula. Pi RL plus pi r squared. Okay, so surface area is going to be equal to pi times the radius. What is the radius? 8. times the slant height, we've got to use some Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to do 8 squared plus 16 squared equals L squared. And again, we're just going to type this straight up into our calculators. Squared. I'm going to get 320, square root of 320. That is not a perfect square, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Plus pi times 8 squared. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to type in 8 times the square root of 320. And then I'm going to add 8 squared to that. I'm going to go ahead and just add 8 squared to that. Okay? And then we want to turn that into a fraction. That is a huge fraction. So let's go ahead and just round this. This is, if you turned it into an improper fraction, that is going to be this number. So 300,100 over 1449 pi. If you counted that as a decimal, if you wanted to convert that to a decimal, it'd be, let's go math, change that to a decimal, 207.1 pi-ish. But then let's go ahead and just multiply that through by pi to give the rounded answer. This is going to be about 650.7 meters squared of space. Okay, so there's my exact answer. In terms of pi, it's not very pretty because what you're typing in is 8 times the square root of 320 plus 64, which is 8 squared. So whenever you change that to an improper fraction, it is not very pretty, okay? So let's go ahead and look at 2 more. A cone has a diameter of 6. So if I have a diameter of 6, my radius is going to be 3. So if I draw myself a picture, draw a circle, draw a triangle on top of it, my radius is going to be 3. They give us the radius, or we get the radius from the diameter. And they give me an internal height of 15. So the height is 15, which means I'm going to have to find my slant height using some Pythagorean theorem. So surface area equals pi RL plus pi R squared. So surface area equals pi times my radius, 3 times my slant height. I'm going to have to do 15 squared plus 3 squared equals L squared. This is not going to give me a perfect square, I do not believe. So that's going to give me the square root of 234. So L equals root 234. And we'll go ahead and round this to the nearest tenth. Let's see, times. And then we're going to do plus pi times 3 squared, which we know is 9. So I'm going to type in 3 square root 234, enter, plus 3 squared, which is 9. If I were to change that to a fraction, I'm going to actually multiply it through by pi. And so that is going to be approximately 172.4 centimeters squared. So we're going to go ahead and round that. All right.